matter what.
Every day, over 15 million members are transforming Africa. 15 million members, empowered to learn, to grow, to harvest, to lead, to dream. Equity. Karibu member.
To get John chapter 11 as your skiza tune, dial star 811 star 965 hash.
I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. John chapter 11, verse 25.
To get John chapter 11, dial star 811 star 965 hash. To get John chapter 11, dial star 811 star 965 hash.
Come on! I'm the photographer Black Milk. I have an exhibition in 8 weeks about how things get better with time. Let's go! Darling Fluffy Kinky inspired me.
That looks amazing.
I'm seeing how the twists blend with her hair over time. How she actually feels more confident.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
She's really more beautiful every week. That's definitely worth celebrating. Darling Fluffy Kinky, twists that get better every day, just like you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. You're just in time for the Lunchtime News. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lucy Mwaura. It is the 29th day in the month of June 2022, 40 days to the next general election, and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has this hour concluded a meeting with the presidential candidates ahead of the August polls, with the IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati urging political leaders to shun violence at all costs, saying Kenya is bigger than an individual. Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. We begin from Laikipia. Residents from Baru village in Igwamiti ward of Laikipia County have decried the rising cases of livestock thefts and persistent invasion by wildlife. The irate residents say despite reporting to the authorities, cases of insecurity have been on the increase.
The residents who staged a peaceful demonstration alleged that the theft of the 3 dairy cows were the latest incident of cattle rustling in the area. Led by Pastor Sami Sigilal and Kamau Kamatu, the residents alleged that the security officers attached to Lusogwa police post were sleeping on the job, claiming they were taking too long to respond to distress calls from residents whenever such cases were reported.
Mara nyingi sana wengi wameimbiwa na si hapa peke yake, hata kule kwetu baba na hudumu. Nimekuwa na mshirika juzi amevamiwa, ameibiwa TV kwa nyumba, katolewa battery yake. Haya mambo yanafanyika hata mchana.
Imagine tangu zile ng'ombe ziliibiwa saa 9 ya usiku, saa hizi mpaka saa hizi hapa hakuna hata chief amefika, hakuna askari amefika hapa, press ndio wamefika. Tutafanya nini?
They are now calling on the government to move with speed and contain the situation before it gets out of hand.
Naomba serikali tujue hata kama uchaguzi unafanywa tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8, wajue kwamba sisi wakaaji wa Laikipia West tunataka amani na tunataka kuishi vizuri.
The residents said they need to be safe together with their property ahead of the August elections. Beatrice Gatonyangatich, Lunchtime News.
A group of people with disabilities in Trans Nzoia County have protested over the alleged exclusion from government opportunities and poor service. The group, led by their chairman, John Ndirangu, accused area leaders of neglect despite them having participated in electing them. Speaking in Kiminini before taking to the streets, Ndirangu in particular said they missed out on nomination slots at the county assembly and other employment opportunities. The group, however, called on leaders vying various political seats to ensure they factor in the interests of the people with disabilities in their manifesto before asking for their support.
We need to empower these people. We don't want to have beggars on the streets of Kiminini or on the streets of Kitale or Trans Nzoia, the whole county. Ni watu wakuwe empowered, kwamba waweze, kuna vikundi hata tumejiunga, tunataka ufadhili ambao na viongozi wetu watutafutia hata kama ni mashirika ambayo ni ya kibinafsi. Walemavu hawapati kitu. Ingekuwa 30% kwamba 10 inaenda kwa women, 10 kwa youths and then 10% kwa the wale walemavu, ingekuwa ni jambo la busara, lakini ni kwamba hizo tenders zinachukuliwa na watu wengine ambao wako sawa. Tungependa serikali iweze kustreamline, kwambia kwamba kuna wale tu ni cartels ambazo zimekuwa zikiwepo, kwamba wao ndio wanafaidika.
Residents of Mugur area in Samburu County have found relief following the construction of a new health center that was recently launched by Samburu County Governor Moses Lelon Kulal. The newly launched facility will help support over 2,500 residents who were previously forced to use traditional medicines as treatment due to the inaccessibility of health centers within their locality.
The residents say they used to incur more cost on transport in search of medical services at Wamba, Ledungokwe, Maralal and Kisima Town due to unavailability of health facility near their village. Residents saying it was especially difficult to take patients to the hospital at night, and they instead adopted the use of traditional methods that did not always offer solution.
Beleni tulikuwa na shida kubwa sana. Mtu akikonjeka hata usiku ni shida kupata gari, tulikuwa tunaenda mbali Maralal, Wamba au Kisima. Lakini saa hii tunashukuru serikali ya Samburu County, saa hii tuko na hospitali hapa karibu. Tunashukuru sana serikali ya county kwa sababu saa hii wakati tumepata hiyo hospitali hakuna sasa matatizo.
While speaking after the launching of the facility, Samburu County Governor Moses Lelon Kulal asked residents to utilize the facility in seeking medical services, especially for expectant mothers, to help reduce maternal fatalities in the area.
Kuja kufungua hii hospitali ya Mugur. Hii ndio hospitali ya kwanza kwa area hii ambayo catchment kama watu 2,000-3,000. So kwa mara ya kwanza service ya afya imefika hapa na tumejaribu kuhimiza kina mama especially mambo ya MCH, Mother and Child Healthcare, wapate huduma ya clinic pia kujifungua kwa hospitali na watoto pia kupata chanjo.
Elvis Otieno for Lunchtime News.
A non-governmental organization has embarked on a guidance and counseling mission for students affected by banditry attacks in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet. The latest incident, which occurred at Tot Primary School, left 3 pupils dead. Spiritual sermons were among tools used to help them heal from the trauma they are facing from the losses of their colleagues.
At the Tot Primary School in Elgeyo Marakwet County, students are entertained by a local comedian. This is then followed by spiritual nourishment by a man of the cloth. All of this is done in a bid to erase painful memories of a banditry incident that left 3 pupils dead over lunch hour when they were picking mangoes within their school compound. A local NGO has embarked on a guidance and counseling mission in schools across Kerio Valley in a bid to help pupils heal from the trauma they experience after witnessing banditry attacks.
The teacher, even they can tell you themselves, they are even themselves traumatized. So you can imagine what happens to small kids like these ones, like as young as even 5 years. I want to be accessible to them because at times you find these people are in very remote areas, and because of the insecurities in this region, most people shy away from them.
The school's staff expressed their gratitude for this move, which they say is timely and will ease the distress by pupils in an area affected by the attacks that leave families without their kin and children orphaned.
Mpaka saa hii bado wako traumatized, hawajakaa vizuri mpaka wakati huu. So bado wana shida kubwa sana. Sijui tutafanya namna gani ili wao wakae vizuri kwa darasa.
I've planned that I should be here for at least 3 or 4 times to see that they have completely healed.
The NGO will continue with the initiative that will be replicated in institutions across the region. Yusufar reporting for Lunchtime News.
Water Services Providers Association WASPA has embarked on an overdrive to digitize water provision services. Speaking in an ongoing conference on management of water loss by providers in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, WASPA Chief Executive Officer Anthony Ambugo said this will mitigate the current challenge by bringing on board technopreneurs and financiers.
Residents in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County can now expect efficient services after the Water Services Providers Association embarked on an overdrive to digitize water provision services. According to the WASPA Chief Executive Officer Anthony Ambugo, nearly half of the water produced is lost through either theft or metering inaccuracies, which has prompted water utility organizations to embrace infrastructural improvement through advanced technologies.
That's why we are going a notch higher to sample some of the best technologies that exist. And that is why, as the chairman has alluded to, we have a matchmaking between the technopreneurs here and also the utilities.
Ambugo says the move is tailored at mitigating the current challenge by bringing on board technopreneurs and financiers.
But we realize that the utilities have no free cash, and that is why the financing sector is here to support the utilities.
Water Sanitation and Irrigation CS Andrew Trimur, on the other hand, says the deployment of advancement infrastructure in metering will be a game changer in dealing with the challenge of non-revenue water loss across the country.
Remember, we lose about 45% of water through non-revenue, and this is really a big loss. This amounts to about 10.6 billion Kenya shillings.
Timur regretted the current loss that he says stands at 45% annually, enough to run the county of Nairobi for 6 months uninterrupted.
So it's really a big loss, and this conference here today, which is going to take 3 days, is going to look at new ways, advanced technologies that can be used to reduce non-revenue water. And there are various companies who have come up with various technologies.
WASPA Chairman Michael Mangeli says that non-revenue water challenge demands for concerted efforts by various stakeholders and government.
And we've decided now for us to effectively reduce non-revenue water, we need to bring all the stakeholders together holistically so that we can tackle this animal called non-revenue water. That's the reason we've seen now we brought Safaricom here because of the issue of the technology. Because now we want to go a notch higher to make sure these meters are read when someone is off stealing his house.
We have been able to identify the leakages
And most important, digital metering also is good for the consumer because you can monitor how the consumption.
Timothy Kipnusu for Lunchtime News.
Kenya's creative industry loses an estimated 92 billion shillings annually due to online piracy. The music industry is one of the most affected, with the sector losing 15 billion shillings according to a study by Partners Against Piracy released in May this year. Our senior reporter talked to Wanjiku Koinange, head of licensing Mdundo.com, a music web download service, to help explain the impact tech innovation is having on the entertainment industry.
Music industry is valued at $63 billion. What impact has technology had on this particular industry? To take us through this conversation is none other than Wanjiku Koinange, the head licensing at Mdundo.com. I'm Regina Manyara.
Thank you for coming through. Mdundo.com is an African music service. We exist to create a connection between the artists and the users on the continent.
How does this particular platform, or rather this service that is Mdundo.com, aid artists in getting their works out there?
Mdundo has about 2 million songs that we've onboarded over the last 10 years. And we have 17 million users, and that's just the ones who have access to the online space and digital space. And so what we do is connect those users to the music that is being made by the African artists.
Let's talk about piracy as a challenge when it comes to the music industry.
What we do is create a service where artists can come from wherever you are in the country or in the continent for that matter, upload your song. The rights still remain with you as an artist. You can control where it goes. If you don't like the service, you can take it down. So we're trying to want to make it transparent and make it accessible to anybody who believes they have a talent to share with the world.
There's been a push and pull between our local artists arguing that they're not earning enough from their IPs. How do you tackle that? How do you ensure that those who are on board with you as Mdundo.com get to earn a living?
Every song downloaded has an ad. That ad has been paid for by somebody. So our commercial team is very good at finding partners who pay for this. This is then split to the artist on a 50-50 basis. So regardless regardless of whether you've made one download or 5,000 downloads, you have some revenue coming to you every 6 months. And this is done on your share of downloads. And so what that is doing is putting money in everyone from the biggest artists to the emerging artists in their pockets to help you sort of grow your brand, grow your skill set. Also just, money is good to have, for your talent, for your skill.
I enjoy music, and a majority of Kenyans do too. How do I get this service, Mdundo.com?
We have 17 million users across the continent. Our focus markets at this point is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, and Ghana. That's not to say that we don't focus on other countries across the continent. However, anyone across the world can listen to your content.
Any challenge when it comes to matters of competition?
A lot of people will say other services, Spotify, Boomplay, we don't see those guys as competition because we are all trying to fix a problem in the industry, which is piracy. So what we think is our biggest competition is that piracy. And this is why our service exists as it does.
Can everybody consume what is already on Mdundo.com? Is it free?
It is free. We care about your coin. We care about your, connecting with your music. So it is free for anybody to use.
How can the local music industry leverage on such digital services?
Understanding who your audience is, build a social media is there to also grow your audiences. So using those free services that are there on the market is something that I would really advise. And Mdundo is we really feel passionately about even letting you know what the services are.
What is your take in regard to the introduction of digital tax and more so the signing into law of the Data Protection Bill?
I would challenge both the creators of this policy to understand what is happening on the ground, first of all, before they implement policies that are in place. Because some of them, we don't know who you're going after the wrong person. You're going after the person who's struggling to make money, and trying to make something for themselves instead of going for those people who are generating from that money.
Well, thank you very much for your time. There you have it. The way is digital, especially for local artists. They need to get on board and take advantage of the already available services to ensure that their listeners can access their products and as such stem piracy. I'm Regina Manyara, you're watching KBC Channel 1.
Thank you, Regina. Good to have you. Education insurance products have become a preferred mode of savings for parents keen on ensuring proper education for their children. This has seen the influx of underwriters into the Kenyan market targeting the education sector. Financial services provider HFC is the latest one to roll out a new product dubbed Elimu in partnership with BRICS Holdings.
In 2017, Kenya introduced the competency-based curriculum under the 2633 system of education to replace the 844 system, which has served Kenya for more than 3 decades. With the introduction of the competency-based curriculum, many parents who had saved for their children's education through education policies were thrown back to the drawing board after the new system changed the maturity dates of education insurance policies. To tackle this challenge, HFC has developed a new policy tailor-made to accommodate diverse customer needs and allows for high age limit entry of up to 60 years and tenure limits of as low as 6 years. The policy, dubbed Elimu, is in partnership with BRICS Holdings. HFC Chief Robert Kibara has said the new product provides an avenue for parents and guardians to plan and save towards quality education for their children, while deepening insurance uptake in Kenya, which stands at 2.7%.
This solution that we are rolling is an insurance solution that enables our customers to be able to fund education, finance education for their children.
Kibara has urged underwriters to offer customer-centric products to gain a competitive advantage in the market.
Specific one, we are excited to start with at least an innovative solution. And part of our strategy also is that this time we are not just offering products out there. We are going to offer solutions based on researching exactly what are the problems that the clients would like to be solved.
Betty Kiptum, Lunchtime News.
Market group that includes Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa have resolved to scale up their cooperation in all fields dealing with critical global issues. Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Development Initiative as a guideline to implement 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, an initiative he is selling to more than 100 countries.
Bonga Swale, the South African ambassador to China, noted that the summit will look to improve economic and political fields, which are key to driving the BRICS partners.
In this BRICS summit, we really look to improve our cooperation, whether in all fields, right? Whether it's people to people, whether it's economic and political, which are key things which drive us as BRICS partners. But we're also looking at enhanced communication among our leaders and cooperation in dealing with these critical global issues, because everyone will be looking at the BRICS as an important forum to discuss and give direction on how we should deal with these global challenges.
He further noted that President Xi's global development proposal is significant for developing countries to realize the goals of sustainable development.
The way we view it is how to enhance what we agreed at the United Nations. This is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's not easy for developing countries to achieve this because of the impact of these major events like with the pandemic which we have had.
BRICS is a partnership that seeks to advance the global development agenda and plays a key coordinating role among emerging markets around the world. The BRICS countries account for about a quarter of the world economy and over 40% of the global population. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Back home, over 70% of maize millers in Nakuru have closed shop due to an acute shortage of the commodity and a rise in the cost of maize. This comes as the directive on tax cuts for imported maize by Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya is set to take effect on 1st of July after its gazettement set for tomorrow. Millers now say the situation still remains dire and the sector may suffer enormous losses from a reprieve that comes too late.
The cost of a 90-kilogram bag of maize, which was going for 2,500 shillings last year, is now going as high as 7,000 shillings. In the last couple of weeks, Kenyans have had to bear the brunt of this rapid rise, with prices of the staple food going as high as 220 shillings per 2-kilogram packet. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya had partly faulted this on unscrupulous individuals hoarding the commodity, bringing a shortage that would hike the prices. To remedy this, the government had issued a directive halting the taxing of maize coming into the country to bring a reprieve to millers and consumers. Despite this, millers in Nakuru County say the reprieve might have come a little too late, with many closing shops before the awaited gazettement tomorrow.
Begu zimekuwa juu, mashamba imefinyika, fertilizer imeenda juu sana. Kwa hivyo hata wakilima acreage moja ukitarajia mtu atoe gunia 20, anatoa gunia 3, gunia 4.
Chairman of Small and Medium Scale Millers in Nakuru, Samuel Waweru, says millers are abandoning the venture at an alarming rate, citing an inability to afford importing the goods. The millers are now appealing to the government to make provisions for players in the sector.
Tegemeo ni mvua ndio hiyo ilichelewa. Ya pili, jua ndio hii limewaka. Ile mahindi ambayo watu walipanda ndio hiyo inaendelea kukauka kwa mashamba. Fertilizer wengi walipanda bila fertilizer. Kwa hivyo hiyo mimea ni mimea dhaifu. Hakuna tarajio la hata mazao la mwaka mwingine.
Itakuwa shida kubwa sana kwa sababu Kenya nafikiri ni watu ya ugali peke yake wengi. Na hiyo ndio inasababisha hata mahindi kuwa kidogo.
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
In sports, American tennis player Serena Williams is unsure whether she will play at Wimbledon again, but says Tuesday's first-round exit has motivated her for future Grand Slams. The 23-time major winner lost to France Harmony Tan in a 3-set match as she returned to Wimbledon after a year out with injury.
7-time Wimbledon singles champion Serena Williams, who is chasing Margaret Scott's record of 24 Grand Slam singles titles, said she did not want Tuesday's loss to be her final memory of a court on which she had so much success. Williams faced Tan almost a year after limping tearfully off center court, having hurt her right ankle in her first-round match against Alia Cassandra Sasnovich. But after losing to Tan, Williams hinted an appearance at her home major, the US Open, which begins in late August, could tempt her to continue training.
Don't be afraid to be different, and don't be afraid to stand out. And yeah, I think that's been me.
Ranked number 1, 204th in the world following her enforced absence, the American great added that, if anything, her performance against Tan had served her as fuel to continue.
I love changing the game. I think that's, something that I never kind of set out to do. And then somehow I did it.
For Sports News, I'm Dion Mogire.
Well, before we come to the close of this bulletin, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs, Joe Musheru, has urged Kenyans to exercise respect and tolerance exhibited when supporting their preferred sports teams as the country heads to the next general election. The CS was speaking at the unveiling of a sports bouquet of 8 major international sports events that will be broadcast live on KBC Channel 1, including the 2022 FIFA World Cup. We'll be bringing you details on that item later on in our subsequent bulletins. That marks the end of the Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for your company. Thank you also for your feedback on our social media platforms. On behalf of the entire team, for more details on aired news and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma. My co-anchor this afternoon on sign language interpretation is Lucy Mwaura. God bless you.